Good morning. My name is Dave Carrozza. I'm the president and founder of Spruzza, a cooler way to ride. I like to tell people that I'm a retired clinical lab scientist, and now I like to think of myself as a clinical lab cyclist. Hugh Pearman said several years ago that truly the bicycle is the most influential piece of product design ever. You can see from these two images, a bicycle from the 19th century and the latest 2016 Cervelo P5X, that the bicycle has come a long way. Clearly, it's an example of the fact that demand drives innovation. Cyclists like the bicycle come in a number of shapes and sizes and reasons for riding, from professional, recreational, and commuters. But the one thing that all these cyclists have, no matter what kind of bike you ride or the reasons that you ride, when it's hot, the only way to make cycling better is to make it cooler. A few years ago, my son and I were riding on the American River Trail, super hot day, and up ahead we saw some sprinklers spraying across the trail. And it's a little bit like nature calling. You just have to ride through that. And there was something about that day and that experience that really stuck with me. And the thought occurred to me, what if I could take that feeling with me? That feeling of riding through the sprinklers anytime that I wanted to. Not only does it feel good, but it's actually revitalizing. You feel like you can ride harder, you feel like you can ride stronger. The fundamental issue with heat, from a physiological perspective, is the harder that your body works to cool itself, the faster you fatigue. Oops. For years and years, the cyclists, every spring and summer, you see journals and blogs and magazines filled with articles and discussions about how to beat the heat. And they tend to fall into three broad categories. Number one, avoid the heat. Number two, get used to the heat. Or number three is learn to deal with the consequences. And after that experience riding on the American River Trail, the thought occurred to me, why not just solve the problem? And so yes, it's true that necessity is the mother of invention. After having that experience, it hit me that I need a cooler way to ride. This is actually the very first prototype that I came up with. I went down to Home Depot, got some PVC pipe, took the Windex sprayer off one of my wife's bottles, and yes, duct tape was involved. And I went out on a hot day and I started spraying my face with water. And within 2 or 3 rides, it hit me, this really works. So we went through about 2 years of testing and prototyping, and we finally developed a product that has never been done before in the cycling market. It's a detachable, lightweight, aerodynamic cooling system that actually keeps your skin 15 to 20 degrees cooler when you're riding in hot weather. So, Spruzza is not a new idea, it's just a much better delivery system. Each spray, that's a picture of my son, each spray is half a milliliter of water. And it only takes 2 to 3, sometimes 4 milliliters of water to actually lower your skin temperature. Physiologically, it's only the water that sticks to your skin that cools you. And this is sensitive. You've probably all seen pictures of cyclists when they're overheating, dumping water over their head. And you can see how much of that water is wasted. As a matter of fact, we did a calculation to show that to have the same cooling capacity from dumping water over your head, you would need to carry about 10 full water bottles as compared to 1 Spruzza with just a 5-ounce reservoir. Does it really work? This is a thermal image of a professional cyclist that's been using Spruzza. The picture on the left side is his face before he was using it riding in the heat. The picture on the right is about 30 seconds after he sprayed himself down, and you can see that there's nearly a 15-degree drop in his skin temperature. But we weren't satisfied with just anecdotes and common sense. In 2014, I worked with the UC Davis Department of Sports Medicine, and we did a field study. Last year it was published and it was presented at the American College of Sports Medicine in San Diego. And we were able to statistically demonstrate a lower rate of dehydration, lower fatigue, lower thirst, lower heat index, lower perceived exertion, and all but one of the riders who participated in the study said that they actually had less GI distress when they were able to stay cool. Cyclists are a very picky bunch of people in terms of what they put on their bikes. They're always concerned about weight, and they're always, always concerned about aerodynamic drag. So we took Spruzza into the wind tunnel and demonstrated that there's actually no aerodynamic penalty for having Spruzza on your bike. We're working with cyclists, professional, triathletes, ultra cyclists, and commuters. And we've been able to penetrate each one of those market segments, and the feedback and the results have been phenomenal. We so believe in this that we have 3 utility patents in the United States and 1 in Australia, which eventually will give us a year-round market. The biggest challenge for us has been the marketing. There's nothing in the market like this, which means it's blue sky, but there's a lot of education that we've had to do to convince people that this really works. Our marketing strategy has really been based on concentric circles. We know that we're building 3 things: a product, a company, and a brand. And we want to make sure that we have all 3 of those in line before we try to scale. Our main channels are direct to consumer with our website. We are in about 10 local bike shops. We are working with trainers and coaches around the country. We have a professional cyclist, Evan Huffman. You may have heard his name. He took the King of the Mountain jersey this year at the Amgen Tour, and he's been using it for 2 years now. We are using brand ambassadors that are believers in the product and have had good results, and so we're working with them to spread the word. We go to local events, and we have some celebrities. George W. Bush has a Spruzza. He was kind enough to send me a personal note of thank you. Bill Walton, we met him at Interbike in 2014. We have some conversations with some of the big box stores, but we have some cost structures that we need to get in place before we launch at that level. We're manufactured in Rancho Cordova. The product was designed in Roseville and Sacramento. This is our current version of Spruzza, the one it's not really a beta product, but it's our first version. Right now we're working on a model that will tap into the triathlete market. And this is our dream: the first bicycle with factory installed air conditioning. So thermal regulation is the next big breakthrough in performance. We've heard that from a number of coaches. There's a ton of products in the hydration, there's a ton of products in fueling and nutrition, but there is no product-based solution that does what Spruzza does to keep a rider cooler when they're riding in hot weather. Fundamentally, our vision is in line with People for Bikes, League of American Bicycles, and Cowbike. We want to get more people on bikes more often, and our statement is that summer is the best time of the year to ride. You have long days, good weather, it's just hot, and we have a solution for that now. It really is a cooler way to ride. Thank you. Oh.
Good, you got it, you're on it.
So what can the community do for Spruzza?
Well, start riding a bike. And if you know people that ride bikes, or you know coaches and trainers or bike shops that may be interested in trying Spruzza out, let them know that there's actually a solution for beating the heat instead of avoiding it or dealing with the consequences. We have a number of programs that we work with retailers. Some people just buy product. We also have an affiliate program where it gives them an opportunity to test the product, and we set them up with a code on our website so that if a customer comes in and wants to try it, they make the sale for us, they get a 20% commission. So it's a no financial risk way to introduce Spruzza to their audience. Yeah.
Right. What's the internal change in temperature versus the external?
The core temperature?
Yeah, core temperature.
Core temperature really doesn't change that much. The interesting thing, and that's what everybody focuses on, is that your core temperature is the most critical part of your physiology. It's true But core temperature is not really a rate limiting in terms of your performance. It's a ceiling, because you can perform all the way up to about 39 or 40 degrees centigrade, or about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And when you hit that level, you shut down. The real driver of performance is your skin temperature. If you think about when you've been in an air-conditioned house or office all day and you want to go out for a bike ride, if you walk out into 100-degree temperature, your mind almost immediately starts saying, not as far, not as fast, take it easy. And there's a lot of neurology that goes into what's happening. It's called pacing strategy. But we all know that when you go out in the morning on a cool day, you feel more invigorated. You feel like riding harder, pushing yourself a little bit harder. But when it's hot, you just immediately start dialing it back. So skin temperature is the real driver for performance. Yeah.
Do you intend to connect this to Bluetooth or some type of Internet of Things connection where it's going to monitor skin temperature and then automatically spray somebody?
That's a good question. Anything that's tech in the cycle world right now sells. And this, at least this version of Spruzza, is really low tech. I mean, like people tell us all the time, it's a squirt gun on a bike. Well, yeah, I can't argue with that, but it still works pretty amazingly well. One thing that we have thought about doing that is putting like an infrared sensor or some type of thermocouple where you can actually see, what your skin temperature is, like that image from the thermal camera. And you can also watch your skin temperature drop. So it creates the awareness that this product is a little bit more than a squirt gun on your bike. So, there's a lot of things now. There's a company that makes a device that uses infrared sensors that it attaches to one of your muscles, and it actually measures your lactate level. So people are measuring all kinds of things. I mean, biometric products are really hot right now. So, eventually that might be something that would actually give it a little bit of a tech feel and create an awareness that I'm overheating. There's another product out now that actually measures your level of dehydration. So, biometrics is a big thing. Yeah.
Two questions. The first question, is it manual still?
Yeah,
Okay.
This version is manual. And the reason that we did that is it was the lowest cost structure. We're retailing these for $49.95. It was also the fastest to market. The two other versions, the one for the triathletes is a pump. So it'll be electrically activated, and it won't be mechanical, it'll be
A
electrical.
timer or something like that?
No, people ask us all the time, could you do it like a windshield wiper? So they just, intermittent, it just sprays you. The reason that we didn't want to do that, you don't want to surprise somebody when they're in a tight or a situation that requires a lot of focus, and all of a sudden they get a spray of water in their face. So we clearly wanted to leave the rider in control. If you think about how people use their water bottles, you don't take a drink from your water bottle when you're sprinting for the finish, or you don't take a drink from your water bottle when you're going down a steep hill. So Spruzza is really no different. I mean, it's meant to be used in a safe, stable riding environment. So it's really not too much different than how you would use your water bottle. It's just more efficient.
And my second question on that was, you said that you are selling these right now in bicycle shops, about 10 of them. Do you have do you sell them directly on your website?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have an e-commerce. Actually, that's about 80% of our sale. I gave you these nice concentric circle things, but the reality of it is we're selling them all over the country, but most of those come through our website, just word of mouth.
So when your product becomes the rage, right now you said you're manufacturing locally. Are you doing that yourself? Or
No, we're working with a manufacturer in Rancho Cordova.
And do they have the capacity if, say, your sales were tenfold?
Oh yeah, they're a state-of-the-art facility. I mean, they could turn out 10,000 of these a month.
And do you have the capital to get those kind of manufacturing orders going?
Yeah, so far Everything we've done has been bootstrapped. We've done everything ourselves. We have no debt. My son and I have just sort of bootstrapped this whole thing. Now, if it were to start to scale, number one, I would have to get my cost structure down. I would gain some benefit from larger orders. I really do want to have it made in the U.S. I mean, that's a big thing for me. But I know that there are manufacturers in the Midwest that have a little bit of a lower cost structure than here in California. So we would explore that first before we decided to look overseas.
And one more question. Who are you using to manufacture? Because there might be other people here.
Sure, I'm using Northern California injection molding. Yeah, they've been around for a long time, and they have a beautiful facility.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, I mean, I can't, with all the issues. One thing you learn when you're building something is innovation is not linear. I mean, you're constantly pivoting. You go as far as your knowledge takes you, and then you hit a brick wall, and you got to figure something out. I can't imagine trying to design and manufacture this with somebody in China. I mean, the fact that I can drive 20 minutes and sit down in the office and hash it out is just invaluable.
Do you own the molds?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got we own everything right now, so, yes.
This may sound like an odd question, but did you look at other fluids besides water that might work even?
Well, no, although that's been suggested. The thing that we are looking at, and it's interesting, there have been some studies published recently about using menthol as almost like a placebo effect, because what the studies have demonstrated is the use of a cooling mimicking device or solution actually does provide some psychological benefit which can improve performance and lower perceived exertion. But with Spruzza, with using water, really what you're doing is you're enhancing what your body already does. I mean, that's the only way that you can cool when the air temperature is above, say, 95 degrees. So, but not only are you getting a cooling experience, but you're creating about a 4-fold increase in the temperature gradient from the blood that's flowing through your skin to the environment. So you're actually increasing the rate of heat exchange. So it's not just placebo, you're actually helping your body shed heat. That's why we go back to that principle that the harder that your body works to cool itself, the faster you fatigue. So you're actually providing a very, very powerful benefit to aid your body in cooling. Yeah.
How are you planning into getting into the bigger stores? I saw you had a conversation with REI, et cetera.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
You know, somebody said if you want to make $1 million in the bicycle industry, start with 10, right? So the biggest challenge that we've had is actually just the image. I mean, we hear things all the time. I can't imagine that just cooling your head and face is going to make that much of a difference. We hear things like it'll slow me down. It must weigh too much, or the aerodynamics aren't there, or just the fact that I just can't see something else on my bike. And but one of the most enjoyable experiences that we've had in launching the product is the surprise and delight factor. I mean, we just love it when, like, Evan Huffman was a great example. I met Evan in June of 2015. I really had to twist his arm to try it. And so I asked him, I said, you know, you've probably experimented with hydration products, you've probably experimented with nutritional products. I said, why not experiment with something that keeps you cooler? I mean, you don't have anything to lose. So I met him 2 weeks later, and he walked in and he had this, if you know Evan, he has this great smile, a very boyish smile, and he walked in, and the first thing he said to me was, "You don't want this back, do you?" And he said, honestly, Dave, he said, I can't believe what a difference this makes. You know, your body has 3 areas where they're most thermally sensitive: your head, face, your hands, and your feet. And when you're on a bicycle, your feet are in shoes and your hands are in gloves. And so that leaves your head and face as the most accessible place to cool yourself down. And if you think about it, that's what we do. I mean, whether you're gardening, whether you're riding a bike, whether you're running, you always dump water over your head. So, like I said, it's not a new idea, it's just a more efficient delivery system.
Hearing that, have you played with like a trial period or in a store and they can take it with them for a ride or on
Oh, yeah.
rental bikes? Rental bikes would be
Demo
interesting.
rides, we do a lot of demo rides, and almost inevitably, you know, within either immediately or within 30 days, we make the sale.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's pretty convincing, the difference, so, yeah.
For like the recreational rider, how does it integrate like with my headlamp? And
Well-
how easy is it to refill and how long does that little thing?
Yeah, this, the way we designed Spruzza is it comes on and off. So there's a little bracket that goes on the bottom of your handlebar stem. And that's the only part that stays on your bike. So in the wintertime, you know, obviously you don't need to cool down. It's not a permanent fixture, it's just a tool. So if you know you're gonna be out on a hot ride, then you just snap it on. So the other thing that people ask us is, well, how much does this reservoir hold? This holds about 300 milliliters of water, or I'm sorry, yeah, about 5.3 ounces, and you'll get about 200 to 300 sprays out of this. It will typically last you an hour and a half to 2 hours on a hot ride. And that's assuming that you're using it every 3 to 5 minutes to cool down. So you just fill it up, insert the tube, click it in, and you're ready to go.
And it's filled from that same spout that
Yeah,
is there?
yeah, and it's very light. I mean, it actually weighs less than an iPhone. So when this weighs 127 grams of water bottle. Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's like you know, smell my flower, right? So, you know, it's a simple idea, but I guarantee you, when you're out on a hot day and you spray yourself 3 or 4 times, the heat just goes away. Yeah.
Would the sprayer be effective if you added essential oils or
Uh,
mechanisms at all?
You know, it could be, but the reason I caution against that is you're gonna, you know, you have to anticipate that if you're not wearing glasses, you might get some water or fluid in your eyes. What I do too is I actually will open my mouth up and spray the inside of my mouth down when I'm riding. So have you ever ridden and you just start a ride and you know you're not dehydrated, but your mouth is dry, right? So I just open my mouth and do a couple sprays, and it just takes that dry mouth away, and you'll actually feel a cooling effect. So we think it absolutely is the most effective tool for beating the heat. I mean, people are skeptical about it, but when you try it, I mean, even people that don't just say I don't want one, but they all say, yeah, it really cools you down. So.
Well, I was thinking that menthol, like peppermint
Yeah.
oil, would give you that cooling effect.
Right.
It also might make the rider smell a little better.
Yeah, and the other question that we get is, I don't want to get water on my glasses. And we made Spruzza so you can adjust it, you can pull it up and down. So you can actually, it's pretty easy to avoid hitting your glasses. You know, I always crack up though when people say they don't want to get water on their glasses, and then you see, back there. You see this, you know, really? I mean, yeah, you got water all over yourself. So again, it's one of those educational things that people just have an assumption that it's going to be annoying to have water on your glasses, but it's very easy. I will tell you that the most effective place to cool yourself is your ears. You know, and if you actually spray your ears with just a little bit of water, I mean, within 10 seconds, you'll start to feel your whole body cool down. I mean, it's pretty dramatic. So.
All right, time for one more.
Do you have any data specific in regards to speed increase or durability,
Yeah.
you know, like some sort of time trial type of thing?
Well, when we did our UCD study, we had 13 riders. And the challenge with doing the study, we wanted to do like a 40K time trial in the heat. But when we went to the internal review board, they were freaking out about making people ride in hot weather. So they limited us to a 6-mile time trial. And they wouldn't let us go over 95 degrees, I think it was. What we did find is that overall, when the riders were cooled versus not cooling, they had about an 11-second advantage on a 6-mile time trial. When the temperature was over 90, the performance improvement was about 47 seconds. So that's pretty significant. But when you combine all the data, it was just above the 0.05 criteria for us being able to say that it was statistically significant. But you know, when we hear the feedback, like one of the guys, the guy from REI did a really, he was actually the bike department manager, and he rode with it for about 2 weeks this last summer. And this statement here, he said, I was very impressed with how well it was able to keep me from getting overheated. Normally on a hot ride, I feel like I've been sweating long after I keep sweating long after a cold shower. Using the Spruzza, it felt as if I had only been riding for 20 minutes instead of an hour and a half. I mean, it's things like this that surprises people, because it is such a simple idea. But again, it all goes back to that experience of riding through the sprinklers on a hot day. We just are trying to create something that lets you take that with you. So, thank you very much.